To get more into the football conversation, joining us right now, you catch him throughout the season with me on Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN. Friend of the show, the one and only Andy McNamara from Sportsnet, will join us right now to get more into the NFL. Preseason week 1 is officially upon us, and Andy always has great insights as he joins us right now. As you see him live on the YouTube stream, Andy, how you doing today, my friend?
Oh, Josh, doing good, brother. Doing good. Preseason football, regular season football right around the corner. I don't care if it's exhibition or if you've seen fourth-string guys. I want more. I want all the NFL.
Oh, listen, we need more football. It is what it is. We've been too long. In fact, last week was the first week of a string of months. We will have either an NFL or college football game every single week until the middle of February.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, you know what? I didn't even realize that. That makes me smile. That makes my insides warm, Josh. That's phenomenal. All of it.
I'm glad I could do that for you.
That's right. That's right. You do that to me, big guy. You do that to me.
So, obviously, in our area, we'll get to the Eagles stuff in just a minute. But before we get to anything, I do want to let you have an opportunity to tell the folks about some of the cool stuff that you're involved with, because I know you've had a pretty busy summer with some pretty cool stuff. And some of it involves people like, former Eagle Chris Carter.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, man. I'm the head of football operations now for UFF Sports, Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, and the league itself, UFAFL, Ultimate Fantasy American Football League. And this is where, Josh, and anyone wants more information, hit me up on social media at AndyMC81. This is the most in-depth fantasy football league you can have. We're actually going to be auctioning off some of our 32 franchises this Sunday, starting at 12 noon. I'll post the link and all that, but at 12 noon. And some of the ownership groups that we have involved, Chris Carter, along with Michael Vick and boxing champ Bud Crawford. We also have Damon Allen, who's a CFL great from up north with Nick Lewis. As well on the hockey side, Hockey Hall of Famer Martin St. Louis and current star Steven Stamkos. And we have those sort of high-profile guys. But the great thing is people can come in and try to bid, and then you get to compete with those guys. And it's a 53-man roster, 46 active. Like, Josh, you have to manage this like a front office. We're actually hiring. We call it professional fantasy sports. Teams are hiring and paying general managers to help them go through this 53-round draft that we're going to have. It's absolutely unreal. UFFsports.com/UFAFL, and hit me up for info. But you guys need to get in on this. It's so cool.
And that's for the serious people. That's not for the casual.
Absolutely.
The casual people can hear you throughout the regular season. You'll be joining me each week on Game Night. For those who are like, hey man, I just want to throw $25 in the pool with my buddies, right? That's for the rest of the conversation. For the real diehard, that's what UFF is for. So
that's right. Just
to delineate. So listen, Eagles are back in action tonight. Obviously, it's a big topic, and I want to start with this. It's turning into more and more that the most divisive topic in terms of national perception when it comes to the Eagles is Jalen Hurts. Yeah. You have two camps. You either have people who are like, I literally heard Mike Clay, who's a friend of mine, right, of ESPN, say, I got rid of Jalen Hurts in my dynasty league. Because,
really?
Yeah, he got rid of him in his dynasty league. He traded him for other players in his dynasty league. So you have guys like him who are like, I'm not sold on him yet. I'm not sure. And you have other people who are like, Jalen Hurts is a leader. He's going to lead this team to the promised land. He's a winner. Where do you land on this debate? Because I feel like the Jalen Hurts thing is generating some pretty intense opinions by people.
Yeah, Josh, it's very polarizing. You're right. You're either all in or you're all out. There's not really much in between. I'm all in. We talked about it on Game Night on this station before the draft. Okay, before the draft, before he was with the Eagles, about Jalen Hurts. And that was a guy I said then, and I continue to believe is going to be underrated coming out, that you have to watch. And if given the opportunity, will take charge. And when he went to the Eagles, I said it. I get on your show, Josh. I said, if he gets in over Carson Wentz, I wouldn't expect Carson Wentz to get his job back. And he didn't. Hurts, I believe, if you just look at the stats, and it's like, oh, look at his completion percentage. The dude came in, no camp with COVID, nothing. And he's a gamer. He crunched through all of it. And I think he has underrated arm talent. He obviously has the legs. And you give him a full preseason, full camp, I fully believe Jalen Hurts for fantasy and real life is going to pleasantly surprise. And I want some shares of Jalen Hurts. I'll tell you that.
You know, it's interesting as well with Hurts that you mentioned the completion percentage. I went back and started breaking down some of those incompletions. They weren't all incompletions. They were throwaways. Technically, a throwaway is right. Carson Wentz had the most sacks last year in the NFL. He also held the ball longer than anybody else in the NFL. He was holding the ball almost 4 seconds on certain downs. So Jalen Hurts was saying option 1, option 2, option 3, get rid of the ball. You take
and not take the hit.
Right. If you take away those throwaways in the Packers and Saints games and only factored in the rest of the completions and incompletions, he was throwing almost 67% completion percentage. So
there you go.
At the end of the day, I'm not worried about the incompletion percentage because he's not going to make mistakes. And to me, whether you're a fantasy football player or you're a real football player, guess what? I don't want you throwing interceptions. I don't want you making mistakes. And to me, that's one of the things that makes Hurts so valuable.
I love that you brought that up, and I didn't do the math on it. Thank goodness you did. That would have been a long process and an incorrect one on my part. But that's a great point you bring up. So think about this from a maturity level. How often do you see, and this went back even, let's talk about like Josh Allen taking unnecessary hits. How often do you talk, young quarterbacks want to be Superman. I'll go through anybody, take unnecessary hits. Or do you want a cerebral guy like Jalen Hurts who said, you know what, I'm not going to take the sack. This play's done. Live to fight another day. Throw it away. But if you just look at the box scores, you think, oh, he's no good. Incorrect. That to me shows advanced maturity and leadership that we saw in college and arm talent. I'm telling you guys, Jalen Hurts this year is going to impress. And don't just look at the stat line. Look at, like you said, Josh, where do those come in? Instead of an interception, do you want a pretty completion percentage? Or do you want to go Jameis Winston style and throw 30 INTs? I'd rather take the throwaway and live to fight another day.
By the way, speaking of Jameis Winston, can I just bring this up to you? Because you and I have lots of random conversations about football.
Yeah.
So I'm watching Jameis Winston interview the other day on ESPN, right? And, usual Jameis Winston in personality and look, except for the shirt. He's got like one of the Andy Reid Hawaiian, Tommy Bahama kind of shirts on. And I'm sitting here thinking, Jameis Winston would be a fascinating study in for human psychology, right? Like the dude is such a strange, I can't wait for the football life. I can't wait for 20 years from now when the NFL of football life and the narrator's like, he was the first overall pick in the draft and then everything went sideways. The dude has so much talent and ability, but his personality is so strange.
Yeah, he's like eating. Remember, he was like eating the W.
Yeah, he made the W. His finger stuck in his mouth. We're gonna eat this W.
I give us some personality. That's great. No more. Oh, on to the next week. Blah, blah, blah. No, give us some. Good. Wear the Hawaiian shirt. I just hope and pray for us fantasy football players that Sean Payton, for once, takes pity on us and starts Jameis Winston, because we know Taysom Hill is going to be zipping around there and stealing and vulturing yards and touchdowns. We know that's going to happen. But don't make it all about him, because otherwise we know what happens to Alvin Kamara. There's no Michael Thomas. Can we please just have Jameis Winston, and maybe that LASIK eye surgery that he had and learning behind Drew Brees is going to cut down on those interceptions?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because there's a lot of quarterback conversation in the league right now, right? Like Nick Sirianni won't announce his starting quarterback, but Jalen Hurts is taking every single snap with the ones.
Yes.
Okay, you have a situation like Winston and Taysom Hill where some people are saying it's all a charade. It's going to be Jameis Winston. They're not really serious about Taysom Hill. They're only doing it for showcasing, right?
Right.
Then you have Jacksonville, where Urban Meyer comes out and says, well, I'm not going to announce Trevor Lawrence as my number one starter for week 1 because he's splitting snaps with Gardner Minshew. What is going on in Jacksonville? You drafted this guy number 1 overall. If you liked Minshew, you shouldn't have drafted Trevor Lawrence, and you should have traded the pick, right? I don't understand. Urban Meyer is either going to be this unforeseen legend in the NFL, or he's going to be the next Steve Spurrier. Because Meyer has done some weird things in Jacksonville, and this is the latest one. Eagle fans are like, why don't you name Jalen Hurts the starter? At least Hurts taking number one snaps. Myers like, oh, we're going to split the snaps with Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence. What is going on, Andy?
That makes no sense because you have a rookie quarterback. You give him all this. And, like, is this some form of gamemanship? Like, does Urban Meyer, and I love Herb. I'm a Buckeyes fan. I love Herb. But, like, does he think he's going to fool, the rest of the NFL? Like, oh, maybe they won't use Trevor Lawrence, who they spent that. Trevor Lawrence is playing every freaking snap unless his arm falls off. That's what's going to happen. The whole world knows that's what's going to happen, and that's what it is. So why this game? It's not even close. There's no logical explanation for it. Otherwise, other than you're trying to outsmart people in a very silly type of way. So I don't understand. It should be Trevor Lawrence taking every single snap to get this guy as ready as possible. That makes no sense. The only thing I might be able to think of why, maybe they're trying to showcase Minshew a little bit for trade. That's all I can think of. But you have enough film on him already. What's more training camp snaps going to do?
Yeah, I don't understand what on earth is going on in Jacksonville because I mean, remember, Urban hires the strength and conditioning coach, and he has that horrible history of basically being just a scumbag, right? And Urban's like, oh, I didn't know about that. Like, what? Like, this is listen, we all watched Draft Day, right? We all watched Kevin Bacon with the investigator. You want to know who showed up for his birthday party? We know NFL teams do investigations on everything, right? There's a reason why Deshaun Watson hasn't been traded, because every team in the league is waiting for this legal situation to be worked out, right? So you're telling me that Urban Meyer hires this idiot as the strength and conditioning coach. He brings in Tebow to compete for a tight end, and now you're splitting snaps with Minshew and Lawrence, who are the complete two opposite personalities on planet Earth, right? And it's like, if I'm an Eagles fan and I'm the fan of these other teams, I'm like, whoo, thank goodness we didn't have with Urban Meyer.
I think you're right. He's going to it's such a different animal, right? Like, from college to the pros, we all know that as far as control and everything. And for Herb, also the concern is, it seems like every couple of years some health issues come up. He has the cyst, the cyst problems on his brain and all that, which is very serious, of course. But every couple of years, it seems like if something starts going wrong, it's like, I don't feel so good. I'm gonna go, and then he feels better, and then he'll come back somewhere, and then maybe it doesn't feel so good anymore. So, to me, if I'm putting the over/under on seasons for Herb in Jacksonville, it's 2, because that seems to be around the spot. But yeah, we're gonna see. Don't be too cute. Trevor Lawrence is your guy. Tebow, I kind of hope he sticks around for a fun, just dumb story that we can talk about. I don't know. I think that might be.
I'm out on Tebow, man. I'm out on Tebow.
You know what? It's going to be Tim Tebow throwing a touchdown, first play of the season to Gardner Minshew. Let's go. Ruin fantasy football week 1. That's what's going to happen.
Does that count as a high level vulture move right there for fantasy football?
The ultimate vulture. Let's see it. Come on.
Oh, my goodness. Andy McNamara joining us here on 97.3 ESPN at AndyMC81. Covers the NFL and fantasy sports for Sportsnet. Let's take a couple more quarterbacks here. First of all, I want to know why on earth Matthew Stafford, and I don't know if we can answer this because we probably can't, but Matthew Stafford's not going to play a single preseason snap. So you get to a new offense, new town, new everything, and Sean McVay's like, he doesn't have to play preseason. To me, that's such an extreme. I understand you want to protect your veterans, but at some point, there's a huge difference between Aaron Rodgers up playing the preseason, coming off an MVP season, going in the same offense for another year, and they brought in Randall Cobb, who knows the offense just as well as Rodgers does, right?
Yeah.
And Stafford, who is on a new team. And by the way, they added some new offensive personnel like Deshaun Jackson. And, I don't understand. Are you staying away from the Rams, or are you still giving them a chance at this point?
Boy, with the lack of preseason at all, I understand if you limit it, but you need to build up that chemistry to some degree. Just even some. And I know he's injury prone. You want to save him. I get it. And he's a veteran. But you need that type, and we see it, Josh, because those who don't do it, the first quarter of the season is already sort of like an extended preseason with how little guys play. You don't want some live bullets sort of flying, even if they are preseason style for Stafford. I would. It just seems like you're setting yourself up for early season challenges where maybe you could limit those a bit by having him take some snaps. And certainly losing Cam Akers real life and fantasy sucks. Like that was a gut punch. I was looking so forward to Cam Akers there. But for Stafford, it's concerning. I would say if you can avoid him as your starting fantasy quarterback, you do. But there's also an argument that you're like, okay, maybe just yard-wise, as your back-end guy, if you really want to punt on the position, I could see an argument for it. Personally, I would try to go somewhere else.
A couple other quarterbacks I want to ask you about around the league because I feel like this is going to be one of the most interesting years when it comes to quarterback. How about the guy that's on Hard Knocks right now? Dak Prescott. First of all, I don't know what is going on the relationship between McCarthy and Prescott because if you're watching Hard Knocks first episode, that is a bizarre relationship. But that aside, they don't describe the injury very well in Hard Knocks. They don't describe it very well to the media. He's getting an MRI to follow up to make sure how his shoulder's doing after throwing for 2 days. Like, what is going on with Dallas? I mean, to me, I came in this year being like, if Dak is healthy, that's a top 5 offense in the league.
No doubt.
And now, it's not the full shoulder, it's the bottom of the rotator cuff, and they're consulting the Rangers and the Yankees because apparently this is similar to a pitching injury and not a quarterback injury, and Dak is complaining in Hard Knocks, he's not getting enough snaps. I am so confused about Dallas right now.
It's very odd, and I'm with you. Dak Prescott is 100%. We saw what that offense did last year, humming. He was on record-setting pace. For the offense. Also, the defense really sucks, so that you had to compensate for that as well. But when you look at the Mike McCarthy stage, remember as soon as Dak went down, like there was almost like a coup. Like the players were like, "Get him out! We don't respect him." And they're like, "Whoa, this guy's going to be fired mid-season," and they battled through. So is this more sort of just jostling for position, whatever within the Dallas hierarchy? It's very strange. I understand you want to do your due diligence for franchise quarterback, I get it, but you also have to listen to the athlete to a point. And is he having, if he's throwing, and we don't know, if he's throwing it and whatever this weird bottom shoulder thingy is, if it's causing him pain, then okay, pump the brakes. If he's feeling good, you got to be sorting this out and keep the player informed. It sounds like Dak is very confused. So you have to make sure your quarterback knows what's going on and get him in and get him going. Because with the likes of CeeDee Lamb, with Cooper, with Gallup, with Zeke, you get Jarwin back. There's a lot of meat on the bone for the Cowboys when it comes to fantasy.
I know that you have a lot of ties and interests in the AFC North this year, considering your Browns made the postseason last year for the first time in since 94, correct?
Since 2002.
Oh, right.
First playoff win since 94.
First playoff win since 94.
Yes.
Right,
I know all those stats, sadly.
Oh, that was oh my goodness. Kelly Holcomb was the quarterback the last time they were in the postseason, right?
Yeah.
Was
Tim Couch and Kelly Holcomb.
I was gonna say, was Dennis Northcutt on that team? But you just answered the question.
Yes, Dennis Northcutt. Good for you, Josh. I'm impressed. Yeah,
the random.
A while ago.
Listen, man, I can remember entire team rosters, but I can't remember people's names I just met last week. So
yeah, I'm with you.
But
we're built that way. That's fine.
It's who we are.
If they're important, they'll tell us their name again, right?
Exactly. I met somebody over the weekend, and she actually came up to me, and you remember my name? And I was like, it starts with an M. She's like, all right, well, that's progress. I'm just
that's a bad. That's a bad. Do you remember my name? That's why I always go hey, bud.
Hey, man. What's up, dude?
Hey, champ.
What's going on, bro?
Chip. Yep. And then you just hope someone else gets the name, and then
Right, you wait for someone else to say the name, and then you're like, oh, that's her name. Right? And then you throw it back in there.
And then you slip it right back. And
hey,
you're good.
Joe, I was like, I meant to ask you.
Joe. I know. I'm totally with you. It's a disaster. And then all I can think about after I miss it, they'll say their name, and I'll immediately forget. I'm like, well, I'm done. They said the name.
Right.
There's no reason they'll ever say it again. I'm ruined. Quick story. My dental hygienist, who is a gem of a human, I've had her for years. She is phenomenal. I love her. I can never remember her name. I found out her name yesterday when I went, and she's going on mat leave for a year. So I'm like, well, now I know it's Ashley, and that does me no good. I've been waiting this long, and now I can't use Ashley's name. So.
Oh my goodness. With that being said, AFC North.
Oh, yeah.
To me, this is probably the best division in football because, you look at your Browns. If OBJ is healthy, that changes a lot for that team. And they made additions on defense. Don't forget about that. The Steelers, they're probably going to turn into more of a run team because they got Najee Harris down there, which will take pressure off of Roethlisberger, which I still understand why that guy was throwing so much last year. I mean, you got a 39-year-old quarterback throwing the ball 500 some times last year. It was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. After his elbow surgery.
Right. That's real smart. Joe Burrow is coming off an injury, and they have no offensive line in front of him still. And then you have the Ravens, which Rashad Bateman apparently is getting groin surgery. He's going to be out for the entire month. So who knows what that means for that offense. So, to me, the AFC North, it has to be the most fascinating division in football.
It's very interesting. And to start with the Steelers, what concerns me on the run side, because I agree with you, I think it should be leaning more heavily on the run. You have 4 new starters on that offensive line. 4. That's a lot. And they're not necessarily improvements. So how that plays out with Roethlisberger, who wore down, and Najee Harris is going to get a lot of work. People ask me, which rookie you're looking for? Well, just from the scarcity and all the committees at running back, you're going to be doing Najee Harris. Whether he's going to be able to be breaking big runs or not remains to be seen, but he's at least going to be getting the look. And for Joe Burrow, reports is when he's in practice, he's fine, but any sort of pressure, he's skittish a little bit, which I guess is understandable, but that's going to be interesting to track because he's not going to play in the preseason to the best of my knowledge. So when he gets in and that first sort of rush comes at him, how does he respond? Because we have to remember too, he was looking good, but he didn't make it through that first full rookie season. So he still has that learning of overcoming when teams figure you out behind no offensive line, as you said. So that's going to be a tricky situation there.
One other thing with the AFC North, I'm just going to tell you right now, for me, I don't know if the Browns will win the division, but I feel confident in saying this. I think the Browns are arguably one of the 5 best teams in the AFC. That's my opinion.
It makes me feel so happy. After all that, he said 1 playoff win since '94 last year. That Browns fans deserve some happiness. We deserve it. And I'll tell you this too. A guy for your keeper teams, maybe not for redraft this year unless you want to stash him, but a guy for keeper and dynasty leagues, get yourself some shares of Donovan Peoples-Jones. This guy's the biggest receiver on the team. I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. with his contract, $15+ million next year, is going to be on the team. He's the best. He's coming through also underrated as one of the best, if not the best receiver blocker. The guy's a willing blocker. He can stretch the field. He's big. He's got amazing chemistry with Baker Mayfield. They're just lighting it up all over camp. That's somebody for the future you want on your fantasy team. You want some shares of some Donovan Peoples-Jones.
There you go. Andy McNamara dropping some knowledge as he does each and every time he joins us here on 97.3 ESPN at AndyMC81 for all your NFL fantasy sports analysis. And Andy, plug the UFF one more time.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah. UFFsports.com/UFAFL. We're going to have our franchise auction this Sunday starting at 12 Eastern. You want to get the link either, text Josh and the station, and I'll get it from you there, or on Twitter at AndyMC81, Instagram at AndyMCSports. You guys want to be checking this out. This is where the big boys play. This is professional fantasy sports. Even if it's not just you got a group of guys to go in and be a group of owners, have at it. This is as close, I swear, guys, as close as you get to a front office experience in the NFL. It's the real deal. Celebrity athletes coming in and all that. It's absolutely unbelievable. So give it a check out.
There he is, Andy McNamara. We'll be checking in with him again soon as football season. The preseason week 1 is this week, and we are just a handful of weeks, about 4 weeks, away from the start of the 2021 NFL season. Get excited, Andy.
Let's go. Catch
you later, my friend.
See ya.
Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.